From a station working for you, this is WRTV News at 5:30, streaming now.
Now at 5:30, clean and safe are the key words for keeping kids back in the classroom. How your kids' schools are changing the ways they clean to safely sanitize. Honoring the memory of soldiers who fought in the Civil War. How a historian and a trustee's office are keeping their memories alive. Lindsay.
At the top of our lineup today, millions of people have been in forbearance with their mortgage during the pandemic, but lenders want to make sure that people can pay. The new document they're asking people to sign. And we'd love to know what our pets are thinking, right? Well, there's a device that could be teaching animals to talk. E-cigarette makers are using the pandemic to help market their products. The new attention the pandemic has brought to vaping.
First at 5:30, returning kids safely back to school means cleaning and disinfecting have become the top priority for schools everywhere. And several schools in central Indiana have turned to experts when it comes to creating a safe environment for students. Not only is COVID-19 a major concern for schools that have brought students back for in-person learning, but we are also about to get into flu season, which means cleanliness is top of mind for several reasons. Stratus Building Solutions is a company in charge of cleaning more than 20 private and public schools in central Indiana. They use specific techniques and tools like an electrostatic sprayer, which positively charge the chemicals, helping them evenly disperse across surfaces and stick. Owner Lee Putnam says business has been unpredictable. Some businesses they usually clean for have not reopened offices. However, people have become more concerned about the cleanliness of their facilities, so more stringent processes are now in place for all of their customers.
Pre-COVID, we might disinfect touch points. So high touch points in your facilities are doorknobs, door handles, bathroom fixtures, desktops, things that you touch on a frequent basis. Those typically, in a normal clean plan, might have been a once a week type of a process. They're daily today. And sometimes in some facilities, they're multiple times per day.
In addition to schools, Putman's crews are also cleaning more than 400 business facilities across central Indiana. Children not only need a safe environment, they need the skills to thrive and excel in the classroom, and that starts with reading. WRTV is raising money to ensure kids in low-income households have books of their very own. We are asking you to donate to our If You Give a Child a Book campaign. Donations will be accepted through September 11th. Just go to WRTV.com/giveabook for details on how to donate. Kyle.
And we got plenty of clouds, but no chance of meatballs out there this afternoon across central Indiana. And most of us haven't seen any rain either, but those clouds giving a very gray feel to the area. And temperatures, as a result, running a little bit cooler than this time yesterday, only by about 5 degrees or so. And that puts most of us in the 70s, right at 79 degrees in Indianapolis. Do find a couple of 80s out there, 81 right now in Lafayette, where a little more of that sunshine has been breaking through the cloud cover. But we also noticed there's a couple of areas of rain. One of those that's been moving through areas like Bedford and Seymour. Not a whole lot of it. It's pretty light stuff here, and it should stay mainly over some southern locations. But that next area back in Missouri may actually clip some of the same locations as we go later into tonight. So your evening planning forecast, we're going to keep those clouds around, but that'll also hold our temperatures pretty steady. We're still in the middle 70s here through 10 o'clock. A couple of those showers off to the south with a west wind at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, our temperatures settling back into the 60s. We'll look ahead to your hour-by-hour forecast for tomorrow in just a few minutes. Lindsay.
Cheap and widely available drugs may be one of the best methods to prevent people from dying from COVID-19. Several studies on different steroids used on severely ill patients found that they help reduce deaths by about 20%. 8 additional patients out of every 100 treated survived. This is according to findings published in the Journal of the American Medical Association.
It's becoming more and more clear that a later phase of this disease is dominated by an inflammatory component and hyperinflammation. And I think steroids are very good at decreasing that inflammatory component.
The World Health Organization says steroids should not be used in mild COVID cases. A national 4-month moratorium on some housing evictions will take effect Friday. Alicia Nieves is looking into how urgent the situation is now for both tenants and landlords.
Millions Millions of homeowners and renters have been struggling to make housing payments since March.
The latest Census Pulse survey numbers show that about a third of renters have little to no confidence that they will be able to make rent.
Eliza Durana is with the Princeton University Eviction Lab. It's been tracking the affordable housing crisis in America, but particularly how that has manifested during this pandemic.
We have counted over 39,000 evictions between March and August.
Those evictions took place because the CARES Act's federal moratorium on eviction only covered tenants in properties with federally backed mortgages, about a third of all renters. However, more than a month ago, even that partial protection expired.
In the absence of government intervention, it doesn't look good.
Finally, Tuesday afternoon, the CDC issued a 37-page order to reduce the spread of COVID-19. It's banning evictions by owners of any residential property. There are a few important details to the order, though. One, to be protected from eviction, you are required to provide your landlord with a signed copy of the declaration form at the end of the CDC's order. Two, you swear on that declaration that your income is below their threshold and that you are unable to make full housing payments because of a substantial loss of household income. Lastly, renters will still have to pay the rent they owed, including late fees. The money will be due at the beginning of the new year. In New York, I'm Alicia Nieves reporting.
Next in our lineup, lenders are trying to protect themselves during the pandemic. The new document they're asking people to sign.
They were laid to rest more than a century ago, but time forgot them since their graves were not marked. Now their service to the country will be remembered thanks to the efforts of a historian in the Wayne Township Trustee's office. Today, new headstones for the graves of soldiers Redden Johnson, James Strader, and Thomas Harry were dedicated at Mount Jackson Cemetery. They served in Indiana's 33rd Infantry during the Civil War. Their unmarked graves were discovered during research by Chris Walker, a history professor at Indiana Wesleyan University.
These markers are just one small way to make sure that their efforts and sacrifices remain in our hearts and minds.
Mount Jackson Cemetery is on Tibbs Avenue, just north of Washington Street. It was abandoned in the 1960s and is now managed by the Wayne Township Trustee.
We're continuing to see home sales up with record low mortgage rates and remote workers looking for more space. The number of people delinquent in their mortgage is improving as well. It fell by 340,000 people in July. That's a 9% drop from June. This is according to data released by Black Knight, a mortgage data company. Now, this is all homeowners who are delinquent, regardless of whether they're in forbearance or not. But the number of people at least 90 days behind on their payments grew 20% in July. Lenders now want to make sure that people who are buying homes really plan to pay and aren't going to need to go into forbearance right away. So now there's a new COVID-19 borrower certification that people are being asked to sign.
This certification is unique to the pandemic, but even back in the financial crisis, there were certifications that borrowers were signing, particularly around job loss or income, simply because of the depths of the financial crisis.
The COVID certification will also ask you to confirm that you haven't recently experienced a negative change to your income. Lenders will get penalized if they sell a loan to Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac that's in forbearance.
They can't protect against, what happens after the loan is closed. Neither the borrower nor the lender knows what the future holds. But what they are trying to do is protect against a situation where the borrower knowingly has had a change in financial circumstances, or the outlook has changed significantly and they're not being forthcoming.
Just because you signed one of these certifications doesn't mean you'll never be allowed to go into forbearance. It just won't be allowed right away. Well, more to get to in our lineup. Wouldn't it be nice to know exactly what your pet wants or what's up when they're not feeling well? One device is trying to do this by teaching animals to talk. Millions of kids across the country struggle with some sort of attention challenge. And while stuck at home during COVID, the challenges can be even bigger. But now there may be some hope for parents in the form of a gaze-driven gaming system.
You only have 3 more minutes until you're done.
For 9-year-old Joey De Leon, staying on track can be hard. That is good. A lot of times it's like, Joey, go brush your teeth. Joey, go do your puffer. Go, and it was multiple having to tell him over and over and over.
So when mom Joanne Lopez heard about the Attention Arcade, a new game system to help kids focus, she was immediately interested.
Yay. Figured if it was something that we can try and if it would work and, we could help other kids if it does work, why not do it? Good job, me.
Joey is part of a beta test group for Brain Leap Technologies, the company that created the game. It comes with that black bar there that attaches to your PC. It tracks a child's eye movements.
You get 750 points.
And allows the child to control the game with his or her eyes.
The eye movement system and the attention system share neural circuitry.
Brain Leap Technologies CEO Jeff Coleman explains the science behind it.
We are leveraging the eye movement system. It's really hard to pin down the attention system, but we leverage the fact that they're connected to train attention through eye movements.
In a new study done at the University of California, San Diego, backed by the National Institutes of Health, Coleman says they saw an average of 55% improvement in inhibitory control. That's the skill you need to not get distracted. And it's working in Joey, too.
I'm good at task initiation, especially when I write things down. He's gotten better about being more independent and just doing it on his own without having to be asked multiple times. I mean, he still has days where, it's just days, but it's overall much improved. When my brothers and sisters are playing and they're loud, I don't get this. There's a 50-50 chance that I don't get distracted.
And with Joey and his two brothers and sister doing e-learning this school year, Joanne hopes this helps him focus on his own schoolwork.
His grades have been always great when he puts his, effort in, but he gets sidetracked a lot. And so hopefully this year we will see that has subsided.
For years, he enticed people in the Midwest to buy cars with a familiar tagline, "There's only one Bob Rohrman." But today we learned of the death of the one and only Bob Rohrman after a long illness. The legendary car dealer died last night at the age of 87. The Lafayette native began a career in auto sales after he left the United States Army in 1955. He began selling cars in Lafayette for another dealer and later opened his first used car dealership in 1963. Over the years, the Bob Rohrman Auto Group grew to more than 30 franchise dealerships in Indiana, Illinois, and Wisconsin. He used a lot of humor in his TV ads and ended them with an animated lion saying, "With a roar, there's only one Bob Rohrman." Kyle.
As we look north over Indianapolis, you see a little thinning of those clouds. And once you get around areas like Lafayette and Logansport, a little bit of sunshine that's making its way through. But here in Indianapolis, we're kind of locked into those mostly cloudy skies. Our temperature is 79, but still with a little humidity. It does feel like the lower 80s out there and a west breeze between 5 and 10 miles per hour. The radar shows just a couple of very light showers here around Bedford and Seymour, but we find another complex of some rain back into portions of Missouri. So that's basically going to ride along and south of I-70 here as we go into tonight. So this is a look at TrueCast, 2:30 in the morning. You can see some of that rain overspreading Bedford, Seymour, around Columbus and Greensburg. As we go throughout the morning hours, I think that's pretty much where it's going to stay. This is 5 o'clock in the morning, so if you do have an early morning commute around Bloomington, Seymour, may need those windshield wipers going here a little bit. I think we will be dry in Indianapolis and areas to the north. In fact, as we look at Thursday, we'll have those clouds starting to kind of clear out from the northwest a little bit here. In fact, as we go into the evening hours, another front will kind of slide through the region, and that'll bring an isolated chance for a shower. Once that moves through, a change in the air mass for us. It's going to feel quite a bit better here for the end of the week. We break down your forecast, though, hour by hour, and we do have those clouds to start off the day tomorrow. Temperatures, as a result, will be in the 70s. But as we get a little bit of that afternoon sunshine, we are back into the 80s, around 83 degrees in the Indianapolis area. We'll be right back.
Is it safe to go back to the gym? Gyms are doing whatever they can to get you back. And a public health expert says it all depends on what precautions your gym is taking.
The fact is that the gyms don't spread disease. The people within them who are coming into the gym and not cleaning up after themselves or not maintaining social distances. And the gym staff, if they're not being attentive and conscientious in terms of disinfecting, are the ones who are likely aiding and abetting the spread of the disease.
There's evidence showing coronavirus can be spread through aerosol and droplets, and those droplets can float in the air long enough to be inhaled, and they could travel more aggressively when we're working out.
Just as when you yell and scream, and you'll be sweating, you'll be hyperventilating sometimes. So those droplet nuclei are going to come out, which means that the larger particles are likely going to rest on some of the equipment as well as in the air.
Dr. Jay Wolfson says it may be hard to monitor gyms across the country because the rules in certain cities and states are different, and it's hard to know if a case is tied to a gym. A Norwegian university looked at whether workout facilities played a role in the spread. It didn't find any cases in people who went to the gym and took proper precautions. Researchers said going to the gym is relatively safe in areas where there aren't many infections. Have you ever wanted to know exactly what your dog is thinking? Pet owners around the country are starting to get answers with the help from a device teaching animals how to talk. Amanda Brandeis got a look at how it works from a dog with a lot to say.
Wave. This is how we typically communicate with our pets.
Sit.
Human says a command.
Down.
And dog usually obeys.
Oh, that was a beautiful spin.
This is Alexis Devine and her dog Bunny.
Instantaneously was drawn to her.
You go high five. Yes.
The 1-year-old Sheepadoodle knows over a dozen verbal commands.
High five.
I really wanted a smart dog because I was pretty invested in the training process.
But Alexis wanted to test the boundaries of communication with Bunny.
Long touch.
Inspired by another dog on social media, she wanted to see if Bunny could talk back.
Outside. I know you do.
Based on speech-language pathology and cognitive science, Bunny's owner says she's learning how to talk through this soundboard.
She uses park and beach constantly, outside quite a bit.
Outside was Bunny's first word. Alexis pressed it every time they left the house, and soon enough, Bunny was pressing it on her own to go outside.
Bunny. Bye. You want to go, don't you?
Now with over 40 buttons, Bunny's starting to form sentences.
One of her longest sentences to date was, home concerned, soon poop yes, which felt very much like a toddler, like, I have to poop right now, we're in the house, I don't want to be.
Bunny communicates what she wants and how she feels.
A couple of days ago, she pressed help and then ouch, and walked up to me and put her left front paw in my hand, and I started looking between her paws and I found a foxtail.
In invasive grass, foxtails are razor sharp and can burrow into a dog's paw, causing infection.
Who knows what's actually going on here, but I think if it's possible for our animals to tell them when and where they are in pain, it could revolutionize veterinary science.
Alexis started with buttons from Amazon, but is now beta testing the Fluent Pet soundboard created for animals.
Earlier prototype.
Everything Bunny says is recorded and sent to company researchers studying how dogs understand words.
Does it matter if they start as a puppy or if they start later in life? Does it matter what breed they are? Does it matter what gender they are?
Love you. Love you.
And now she's talking to people around the world. What About Bunny on TikTok has over 3 million followers. Thousands have ordered soundboards for their dogs and even some cats, like Billy.
I know. I know.
Good girl, come on.
Alexis remains skeptical. While Bunny's words make sense some days, they don't on others. She hopes to learn more as new dogs are studied.
It's too early, but I'm really, really excited to see what comes of it.
Either way, she says it's been an incredible tool to bond with Bunny.
There is no right way here.
In Tacoma, Washington, I'm Amanda Brandeis reporting.
Well, finally in our lineup, e-cigarette makers are using the pandemic to help market their products. The new attention the pandemic has brought to vaping. There's new research finding that actors smoking on TV can increase the risk nearly 3 times of young people trying e-cigarettes. The report published in the journal Preventative Medicine also found nearly 3/4 of the shows they studied popular with young people featured tobacco or smoking images. They looked at shows on Netflix and cable like Stranger Things, Walking Dead, and Fuller House. Experts say the findings suggest the need for policy and advocacy efforts to reduce young people's exposure to tobacco content, something the American Lung Association and the Ad Council are addressing in this new vaping prevention campaign.
She's into soccer.
She's on the honor roll.
She's just not the type. No way.
No way.
No way. No way. My kid would never vape.
They want a generation of people addicted to these products. And from my standpoint, well, we need to counter that.
The ad and pandemic are meant to be a wake-up call for adults. Doctors hope it drives home the importance of talking to kids about the risk of nicotine.
Forming an addiction, that will be the hardest thing that you'll ever be faced with to try to break, if you can break.
The doctor says he's had a significant increase in young patients trying to quit vaping since the pandemic, and he sees the two crises directly related. He says getting to the underlying reason for vaping, often stress or peer pressure, is where he starts with treating younger patients. He says because electronic cigarettes have higher doses of nicotine, it often takes 6 months to a few years to effectively quit. Meanwhile, a new study by Stanford University found vaping stores and e-cigarette brands are using the pandemic for marketing, offering things like free sanitizer, masks, and toilet paper in exchange for buying something, saying their products don't make people more susceptible to COVID. Some even offering discounts to frontline medical workers. The article in the journal Tobacco Control also implies they may be breaking FDA advertising rules. If losing your job once this year isn't bad enough, a third of those people are now losing their jobs a second time. Tomorrow, what employers say the future holds when it comes to even more layoffs.
Looking ahead to our temperature forecast for next week, and one of the models keeping us very warm and summer-like here. Another model, though, kind of shifts that heat off to the south and east, keeps us more on the mild side of things and lets some of that cooler air kind of sneak into parts of central Indiana. So we're going to be watching that forecast closely for you as we put it all together here over the next 7 days. 85 tomorrow, just that isolated chance for a shower. We've got our high in the upper 70s, a pleasant low humidity day on Friday. The sunshine will carry over into Saturday. Next week, we've got that daily chance for a shower or thunderstorm and high temperatures around 80. Thanks for joining us at 5:30.